Hi, my name is Lindsay Dietzler. Most people know me just by Dietzler, however. When I started to think about transitioning, one of the things that I of course thought about was whether or not I would change my name. And ultimately I decided against it. I decided to keep it. It's a pretty neutral name, and I've had it my whole life, so figured I would just stick with it. When I was younger, I had a lot of friends that were also named Lindsay. And I was curious as to why their names were all spelled with an A and why my name was spelled with an E. And so I asked my mom, like, why did you choose to spell my name with an E as opposed to an A? And she told me that because I was born in England at the time, that AY was the boy spelling in England and EY was the girl spelling there. But in America, it was actually the opposite of that. So I can kind of attribute some of my gender non-conforming to the confusion of the way my name is spelled depending on which country I'm in. As far as who's been the most supportive during my transition, that is probably a lengthier question to answer. So for me, community has been one of the most important things, and GQC, who used to meet here at the Gerber Hart Library when it was still the Gerber Hart Library, was really transformative for me. It was really important for me to hear positive stories from trans people and just to really get to meet other trans people at different points of awareness about their identities or points of transition or transformation or whatever else. So community was super important for me, and then also my best friend was incredibly important for me for my transition. And we actually kind of did it simultaneously, so it was really interesting to have somebody else to work through and process through some of the stuff with, and also to do shots with, because I was terrified of needles when I first started doing my testosterone shots. So my community has been incredibly supportive, my friends have been incredibly supportive, my chosen family has been incredibly supportive. And I just feel really grateful and thankful for the experience that I have had. The things that I'm most enjoying about life after transitioning, or during, I guess, transitioning, are definitely getting to know myself better. That's been really important for me. Having people finally see me how I have always seen myself inside is also really important for me. I've had to really, truly overcome a very severe fear of needles. I passed out the first time I got an injection here at the Chicago Women's Health Center, where I get my testosterone from. So, yeah, overcoming that anxiety has been really big for me. Finally, having people see me how I've always seen myself, and then all of that has allowed me to be able to get to know myself better and in a way that I don't think that would have been possible without the transition. As far as my trans role models go, I'd have to say that Judith Butler is definitely probably the most inspiring for me. It was her work reading Undoing Gender, which is a collection of essays that really was what got me thinking about gender as a social construction in the first place, and how I didn't feel like I fit into either of those binaries that our society offers us as solutions. So Judith Butler is definitely a huge role model of mine. The other role model that I really look up to is Anthony from Anthony and the Johnsons. I'm not sure what pronouns Anthony uses, so I will just continue to use Anthony's name as I talk about them. But there's this really beautiful, stunning piece called Future Feminism that's part of a live performance that's on their latest album, which is a live album called Cut the World. And Anthony talks a lot about the relationship between the moon and women's menstrual cycles, as well as kind of what it means to be trans in this world. And I think it's really beautiful, and I think everybody should give it a listen. In addition to Judith Butler and Antony from Antony and the Johnsons, I also really love Kate Bornstein. I mean, who couldn't love her? She is absolutely fabulous and amazing, and it challenges people's conceptions of gender and normativity every single day, and it's beautiful and amazing. But the other thing I wanted to say is that I really do look up to just trans people that are living the experience every single day and trying to make it through, whether it's getting access to hormones or surgery or clinical services, just people that are going through it every single day and just trying to live a life that makes them happy. So as far as changes I want to see in the world go, there are quite a few, obviously, but I'll try to keep it brief and concise. For me personally, love and compassion has been a big part of my journey through my transformation. And I learned to feel love and compassion for myself, and that was something that I've never done before. And through that, I've been able to feel love and compassion more easily for others. And I think that as human beings, that's something that we really need to embrace and to spread as much as we can, is love and compassion for one another, and not judging ourselves and not judging other people, and just letting everybody live and be who they want to be and who they are. Kind of along that same note, I think that we lack a really deep, sincere connection to nature. The transgender people of indigenous communities were considered the healers and the shamans because they were considered to be more connected to the universe and something bigger. And part of that had to do with the fact that, as a trans person, you have to do a lot of self-reflection to get to the point that you are able to recognize that you are trans and that there is something different about you than what society says your gender can or cannot be. So I personally feel a very deep connection to something bigger, and I think getting back in tune with the moon and the stars and the trees that provide us oxygen and really caring about the earth again is really important going forward for our survival as a species and the survival of this planet. The other thing that I think I would really like to see change is more open communities. I'm interested in seeing spaces that are all-inclusive for all people, so that it's not a 21 and up space, or it's not just a space for gay men or for trans folks. I'm interested in kind of closing the separatist gaps that kind of pop up all over the place. And I think that working towards building those spaces is really important as a queer community, and something that we can be working on small levels in our own communities. It doesn't have to be this big, grand idea. It can be something small that we can just kind of slowly build towards. And I think that it's really important to talk about youth and how we're engaging queer youth and trans youth. And we have an advantage, and some of us have an advantage in that we've already been through the process. We've already asked ourselves all of the questions. We've already had to give other people all of the answers to their questions, And so coming from that place of wisdom and knowledge, being able to talk to our youth and coach them and guide them and making this place just a little bit better for them every step of the way. As far as what I'm doing to enact change that I was talking about, sharing my story is a large part of that, and I feel like every time I can kind of connect to somebody and let them know about my experiences with transitioning, coming out, the loss that I have experienced in my life, I feel like it helps me feel more connected to other people, but that it also gives them a basis to go off of, And I'm all about education. I'm all about educating people and talking to people and answering questions, even if they're not necessarily formed in a way that some might deem appropriate. I'm not offended by questions that people ask me. I'm not scared to answer questions honestly and openly with other folks. And I think that it's really important to educate people about what it means to be trans and what it means to be queer, and then going forward in their lives when they encounter other trans or queer people, will already have a base knowledge and understanding. And so I'm always happy to engage people with those conversations. As far as my organizing goes, I've always been an activist and a community organizer, and right now I'm doing a thing called Subject to Change. It's at the Burlington the last Wednesday of every month in Logan Square, and basically the idea is that every week we have, or every month we have a new topic that we talk about, and an organization that is doing really important work in the queer community around that topic that we do a benefit for. So it's good for the organization to get their name out there and the issues being talked about out there, but we also get to raise a little bit of money for them, which is really cool, and it feels really good to be doing stuff to help prop up organizations that are doing really important work. And so that's kind of where my organizing is at right now, and the change that I'm kind of trying to be a part of. So for the last part, the tell us something unique about yourself, I figured I would share a poem that I submitted to Chicago IRL number 2. And it is titled Rite of Passage. Your hands are shaking, your voice is silent whisper. I must have gotten that from you. Always holding at arm's length, never meeting with an open heart. I must have gotten that from you. Weaving in and out, sporadic, insincere, Houdini. I must have gotten that from you. My pain turning to anger, longing to resentment, love to contempt. False idols dwelling here, no one to say this is how to be an adult, how to be human. You should know I am becoming a man, unlike any you have ever seen. I am inventing a new kind of man. A man who will not turn his back, not run when life is too much to bear, not let his pain obstruct his heart. A man who will improve himself constantly, own his mistakes, his faults, make the healthy choice, not the easy one. A man who will fight for those he loves, treat women with dignity, respect, face his fears, hold his ground. But I am keeping it all, my name, my city, my history. I want you to always know what I am capable of. I am not transitioning, but transforming. Not becoming someone else, but a better version of myself. Not erasing who I was, but integrating her into who I have become. I no longer yearn for you to teach me what it means to be a man, because I know now that it means to face what you fear, and I am so much braver than you have ever been. So in closing, I just want to thank everybody for coming along this journey with me through some of the places that were really crucial for me during my transition and my transformation. And I want to give a special thanks to Jen Richards for the We Happy Trans website. I think it's a really phenomenal thing, and it's so important that we have happy trans narratives that we can relate to. And I think this is a really great project, and I'm really honored to have been asked to be a part of it.